Aloha, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii with Real Broker, and I am here with your wonderful island-wide real estate and mortgage update for March of 2024. And I've got some of the brightest in the island and telling us what's going to happen in different parts of the market. Today, I've got Lance Owens down at LUVA Realty. I've got Amber Haley with Real Broker. I've got Jana Mahoney with KW and Travis Green with Guild Mortgage, and also Eric Ziemelis with Real Broker. And we are going to be discussing the numbers of what's happening around the island. We're going to get a mortgage update. We're going to be hearing about a little bit about the inflation and rates. And then we're also going to be talking about, is the market shifting towards a buyer's market? So let's start with Waikoloa Village and North Hawaii with Jana, and then we will go on from there. So Jana, what's going on with the market up in that part of the island?
Okay, so Waikoloa Village, we have 30 new listings that are active right now,
Wow.
which is really amazing. They go from 629.9 to 1,999,000. And there is some new construction that's happening around Waikoloa Village, and it skews the numbers a little bit because those are running closer to $2 million. We've got some houses that are very close to being finished in the new area that's on the north end of town.
What's
And
that
those
called?
are,
Something
don't know.
Ridge. Something.
Yes.
Yeah, something Ridge. Okay.
I'll have that information next time. But
Okay. If you're in the market for a $2 million house in Waikoloa Village, talk to Jana. Okay.
they're very, very close to being finished. I heard that there was some trucks arriving with furniture for staging to the model.
Wow.
So we're getting very close there.
We're gonna have to go up there and film that.
Yes, let's do that. That'd be fun. And have a little lunch.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more choices under $1 million than we've seen for a while. So that's kind of nice.
That is good.
Sold in February, we only had 8, and but we had 3 that were new construction. So those are the 1.3, 1.3, 1.6. So the newer ones are kind of skewing that as well. So the average is 873, but the average days on market for those were only 19 for those 5 that were under $1 million.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. That's kind of a change. And February 2024, there were 5. So our days on market then was 61. So it's changed a little bit. 3 new construction again in February 2025, and that's bumping our average up. So I would say Waikoloa Village right now is a little bit of an anomaly in that you've got your over 1 million and you're under 1 million, and your over 1 million is mainly a lot of new construction, which we haven't seen. So Waikoloa Village condos, there are 32 right now. 32. And they range from 375 to 798 with an average of 504. The sold in February, we had just 3, average days on market 88, and sales to original price was 92%.
Wow. That's
so
info.
There's a lot of negotiation going on right now.
Yeah.
Not necessarily price changes as much as there are just days on market are longer, and we've got a lot more negotiation going on.
Yeah.
For instance, in February 2024, this made me wonder. So I looked, and the average days on market in 2024 was 32 compared to 88.
Oh,
that's the 24-25 difference. And the sales price compared to the original list price was 94 compared to 92. So that's what we're seeing here. Mauna Lani residential, we have right now 7. They range from 4.6 million to 25 million, with the median at 8.6. Average days on market is 296 days.
wow.
Average.
So even that market's slowing down.
Yes, yes. So you've got a lot more investors in that market.
Mhm.
It's, with, I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but the volatility that's going on with the stock market, it's just, you've got investors and they're hanging on.
Yeah.
So let's see, in 2024, we had 48 sold. In 2025, we had 6. So things are slowing down a little bit in the Mauna Lani residential market.
Mhm.
Mauna Lani condos. I'm going quickly, but I know we had 34 active right now. And again, we're seeing a lot more condos on the market than we've seen in the past, from
Yeah.
1,165,000 to 5,936,000, with a median of 1,590,000. And in February of 2025, there were just 2 that closed. And let's see, list 1,289,000, sold for 1,228,000. Average days on market was 50 days, and the sales to originals price was 93.5%.
Wow.
So that's what's happening right now in the Mauna Lani market.
Yeah.
And so only sold 2, but you have 34 that are active.
Wow. Wow.
In 2024, there were 8 that were sold. Average days on market was 17, and the sales to original was 98. So that's a pretty dramatic difference. I think.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's
from
kind of
98
so if
to
so people
90
who might be tuning in for the first time, that area is a luxury market. And what we had seen was when the first time home buyers dropped out first, then the average family started not showing up with paying full price, and then the luxury market seemed to be holding on with investors, and it looks like they too are kind of like pulling back. So okay.
Well, I think the investors are a lot more cautious whenever you have the stock market volatility that we've seen.
Yeah.
And, non-investors tend, I think, to be more focused on rates, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of the difference, I think, when you see between the resort area and the Waikoloa area.
Right. And we're going to talk about this too, is that when people see the stock market kind of doing its thing, sometimes they flee to real estate. So we haven't seen that yet. So and then what's happening with the Waikoloa resort area, because that's also a lot of investments and also vacation rental condos.
Right. So in the Waikoloa resort area for condos, there are now, oh gosh, how many? Oh, we just did that one. It's 40. 40 active listings.
Mhm.
And they go from 875 to 3,895,000. Average days on market right now is 109. But that is an average, and it goes from 2 days to 433 days.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. And the average price is 1,620,000 in the Waikoloa Resort. February, we had 3 that sold, 969 to 2,030,000, and average days on market was 195. Which there was a listing for 2,030,000 that was a Vistas 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and it sold for 1,500,000.
Wow.
What a deal. That was but it was listed for 2,030,000 and it sold for 1,500,000.
That's called a motivated seller.
It is. That is happening right now.
That's the kind of stuff people start saying, ooh.
Right.
There go the percentages too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just use when you only have 3 and one of them is selling like that, it really
50% off.
Yeah. So, and it was a penthouse with almost 3,000 square feet.
Wow.
So that was a deal of the century. In February of 2024, the days on market was 61 compared to 195 in February of 2025. So we are seeing a lot more days on market.
Yeah.
Let's see real quick.
It's opening when you're telling me those kind of like wow kind of numbers. I always go back to Lance going like this. Now let me tell you what's really going on. So
well, Well, that's a one-off. That is for sure a one-off. And you want to tell the stories of the one-offs that are interesting and exciting because you want people to know that that's a possibility, but it's not what normally happens, right?
Right. It seems like, and we can all talk together. It just seems like also for the most people I've been hearing with like a lot of sellers, the sellers don't want to start cutting that hard because they don't want to have to do that. They're like you said, 92%, 93%, they'll come down 7, but they're not going to come down 50.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And was it priced right to begin with? If it could, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Sorry, you got to turn that off. So the other thing I'd like to talk about real quick is the dry side Waimea. There's only 2 active listings there.
Unknown caller.
Oh gosh, sorry. I'll turn that off. And let's see. So we've got one in Lalamilo and one in Sandalwood, and sold in February, nothing. Sold in February 2024, just one. Kohala Ranch, I don't know how to make that stop. In Kohala Ranch, active listings, there are 5 right now, and $1,895,000 to $4,009,000. No sales last month.
Mm-hmm.
So, that kind of indicates that. I don't know why this keeps doing that. It kind of indicates, that there is a low inventory up there right now. And you do have some buyers that are kind of concerned about what's going on. And the last thing I have is the Puako and Waikoloa Resort residential. You've got 9 active listings there, $1,996,000 to $28 million. It's one sold in February, and it was on the market for 213 days. So this is kind of the story I've got. Up in Waikoloa Village, it's a little bit different. But in their resorts, things are staying on the market a lot longer.
Yeah.
The short-term vacation rental. So,
okay, thank you, Janet. Okay, so then let's see what's going on over in East Hawaii then with Amber. What's going on?
Okay, so we will look at the Puna District and the South Hilo District stats for East Hawaii to give you guys an idea. So in Puna District, the last full month of single-family home sales that we had, the median price was $369,000, and the average days on market that those homes sat was 71 days on market. So if we look at where we were at a month earlier, the median price was a little bit higher at $385 in the Puna District, and days on market were a little bit lower at 63 days on market. And then a year ago, to compare that, the median price in the Puna District was $349,500, so lower. And average days on market was only 44. So stuff is, as we've been seeing for a while, sitting on the market, quite a bit longer than it was a year ago. And even a month ago when we're looking at the Puna District single family home sales. And our list of sales price for those ones that closed was 95%. And that is data from 56 single family home sales. So the Puna District is the area on the island where we do see the most single family home sales generally. I think that's probably been the case every market update that I've ever given. I want to say in the history of the state, but I don't know that that's true. So we'll say every market update I've been a part of. And then if we look at the South Hilo District, the data there, the median price is $647,500, and days on market were 72 days. So very similar to Puna's 71 days on market on average. So the median price in Hilo, unlike Puna, is actually a little higher this month than our last market update, where it was $627,000. And days on market are a little bit lower than last month. So it was 80 last month, which is pretty high, and 72 this month. And then if we look back a year ago, that's kind of the biggest difference. $580,000 was the median price a year ago compared to our $647,000 right now, and only 45 days on market a year ago. So we're seeing that same trend in South Hilo as well. And Then, I like to talk a little bit about the Hawaiian Paradise Park subdivision on this update because I know a lot of buyers are looking in that area. So this is actually part of the Puna district. So again, the Puna district was I just closed it, but the $369,000 median price, but that includes risky lava zones as well. So some of the single family homes that are included in that median sales price are a lot less valuable because they're in lava zone 1 or 2. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of info on a lava zone 3 neighborhood called Hawaiian Paradise Park that's really, really popular among East Side buyers because as of right now, actively on the market, it has 110 listings, which is the most I've seen there in a while. And it's got quite a range, with the lowest price single family home listing being only $138,000. To be clear, that to call it a single family home is a little bit misleading because it is unpermitted. So it's essentially really a land transaction. But then the highest listing is 2.38 million in Hawaiian Paradise Park. So there is quite a range in the Puna district. I know, crazy, right? Your typical 3 to 4 bedroom home, newer construction in that neighborhood on about an acre is gonna kind of range in more of the upper 400s to 700s range. So, but we do have stuff all over the map here in the Puna district.
Okay. Hey, so I want to tell people I'm gonna pull this off of here with much that for the people that have been watching us forever, Amber, this is one of her last updates for the East Hawaii because she's moving over to West Hawaii, and we are going to put her talking about maybe a different division of maybe luxury homes, multi-million-dollar houses in West Hawaii. And so a new woman that's going to be taking over for East Hawaii, her name is Nui, and she is the incoming president for the Hawaii Island Board of Realtors, and she has a team over in East Hawaii. So she'll be coming in, and she's been doing she helped Amber, do the last market update just for East Hawaii. But she'll join us for the TT&T, third Thursday event, Island Wide Update. She did send me a text. She said that Ainaloa, which is a smaller subdivision above HPP. She said a 4-bedroom home sold in Ainaloa for $500,000. It closed yesterday. It's the first home in the 500s to sell in that neighborhood. So maybe also people are finding Ainaloa, which is a more affordable subdivision in East Hawaii as well. So keep an eye on that if you're looking for homes that might be actually accelerating in price. But there you go. So thank you, Amber, for doing the East Hawaii for a long time. And we're going to switch you over to something fun and interesting. Speaking of fun and interesting, we're going to go to Eric. Do you want to do the neighborhoods in?
Sure, I can do I can do the neighborhoods.
Okay, so tell them what you're doing and why.
Okay, so what we've done in general is that we've been tracking 3 particular neighborhoods ever since we started, I think is where we're at. Usually it's a Delania that has been doing it, but I will take over for today to let her know. And it just kind of gives you what's been happening in this particular neighborhood. We know, why don't I start with the most, it's not even the most exciting. It's just Ali'i is the one. And for the longest time, it has not had a lot of condos that have been available. And today there are 10 condos available, which makes it from statistical past, it kind of makes it an even, you know what I mean? It's not too much. It's not too little. I guess, for a while we had 14 on there, but now we're back down to 10. And there were 2 sold let me back up. Of those 10, they range from 448 to 592,000. Okay. And we had 2 sold this last month, and they were sold at 470 and 499. So just cruising along, nothing extravagant. There's some days on the market, but just kind of rolling along that way. And then the other market that we've been tracking is
wait, before you go to that one. There's news that we heard today that was actually good news for Ali'i. Tell them what that was. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember that what it was. Refresh my memory on that.
They've got they found out from their insurance company that they are going to get $100,000 discount on their insurance, so they don't have to do another assessment. So that is great news because it looks like the insurance companies are like Eric said that they jacked up the price of the insurance premiums. Well, that was kind of like in flux last year, which started happening in the spring, and now they actually are finding center, and they actually lowered the price for the coming year for the insurance experience. So Lani at least can breathe a little bit, knowing that when people are trying to buy into that complex, they're not going to get hit with another unknown assessment. So
sure, and I've got one more. Speaking on that insurance assessment, just because we're going a little off topic here, but I also heard another complex, Keho Resort, that got a discount on their insurance for the upcoming year as well. So it looks like it is a trend, not just an outlier with the Lani.
okay.
So our other market is Lokahi Makai, and we have 3 active listings there this month, and they range from 1,085,000 and to 1,185,000, and there were no sales this month. And in February there were 2 active listings, so we've gone up by 1, and there was only 1 sale last month. Pulani is our other subdivision, and that's here sort of kind of in the middle of the town, up a little ways. And this month we have 3 active listings, and in February we had 3 active listings again. Prices range anywhere from our list at $945 to $1.265 million, and we have 2 in contract. So nothing dropping off and nothing going the other way, just sort of middle of the road, but not as bad as it used to be.
Okay. So now let's go to Lance, who's going to talk about the entire West Hawaii experience and tell us a little bit more about what's happening with what's happening with all the different neighborhoods, including condos and single family homes.
Thank you, Julie. Real quick, commercial. What do you guys all do for a living?
We are
real estate.
We sell real estate. Reach out to any of us. Yeah, and mortgages. So, okay, let me jump into the numbers for you. I know we just did a deep dive, so I'm not going to go too deep today, you guys. Really quick, year-to-date residential, I'm going to call it flat. We're at 1.52% higher than we were last year at this time, so let's just call that one flat. Condominiums, number of condominiums sold year to date compared to last year, we're up 57%. So I'm not going to call that flat. I'm going to call that pretty remarkable. So that's a big one. So and again, this is year to date. And then if I jump down to our median price, sorry, I printed the wrong month, and I just threw it away, and I had numbers written on there that were side notes for me. I just dug it out of the trash. So really quick on the residential median home price year to date, again, we are off less than 1%. So year to date, it was at 1.312 last year. It's 1.302. So that's a 0.76 change in median price. Condos, you wouldn't think it by the seat of your pants when you're out there looking at listings and going to Caravan. Condo prices are up year to date 12.5%. So
okay, wow.
So,
Do you have days on market on that one though? They seem to be sitting around a lot longer.
Days on market, yes, I do. Condominium days on market, we're looking at an average days on market. I don't have the median, sorry about that. An average is 51 days on the market per condo, and on homes it is 67 days on the market for the average.
Okay.
So that's it on my basic report, other than the part I threw away. It is 125 active homes today when we should have 160 in an average market. Okay. So we're under the average amount of homes. On condos, we should have about 130 in the market. Today, 25 minutes ago, we had 174 on the market. So
we're a lot of condos.
Yeah, a lot of condos on the market, but when they are up 12%, we're up on the number sold is up 57% on the number sold. So we are high on the amount of ones out there. And as Eric talked about, the prices on the we call it workforce housing type of condos, has definitely reduced. So there's been some
Because
price.
we're having less workforce people come
Yeah.
to Kona lately because it's that's where we're at
Maybe
right
that, hey, maybe that insurance will help change a little of that too. If it
now.
Yeah.
The
comes
HOA
down a little bit,
down
because
too.
that was the biggest problem. That's why Lani is, also selling dramatically, is because they had a pretty drastic insurance increase.
Yeah, and again, if we go back to the workforce housing issue, the workforce housing typically doesn't have another $300 or $400 a month in their budget to pay for a mortgage. That's several lunches for the kids, or uh, a night out at the movies.
Yeah. What's that mean?
Yeah. So, but it is
Another round of chicken thighs.
yeah. So it is, that has a lot to do with it, I think, really. And I know I got a lot of historical facts we're going to jump into. So
Yeah, when we go into what's happening with
Yeah.
the trend in the market. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's go to Travis and find out what is going on with the rates and the Fed and all the good stuff. So what would you like to tell us as I spotlight you with the money man? Go with it.
Except you're muted.
Yeah.
Still muted.
You're muted. Your lips are moving. We can't hear what you're saying.
You're muted.
Nope,
Oh,
nope.
no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we've got technical problems.
We can't have the money man muted right now.
Then we need the money man.
Most people don't go very far without it.
How's the weather over there where you're at, Travis? We'll tell you, but we can hear you. It's good. You got.
Hey, there you go. Talk.
Yeah, we heard you.
Oh,
There you go. Yay.
Yay!
Yay.
How was it? Yeah.
I literally did nothing. And it
that's
resolved
weird.
itself.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Okay, so average 30-year fixed rate mortgage today, about 6.7%.
Mm.
For FHA and VA, that number is going to be closer to like 6.125. Okay. Average 15-year mortgage, I don't do a ton of those, about 6.125 as of today. So a year ago, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage was just over 7%. So we're about a quarter, a little better, a little more than a 0.25% better than we were 1 year ago. So Federal Reserve met this week. They did not cut the rate, the Fed funds rate. They were not expected to cut the Fed funds rate. But they did release their projections for what they think they're going to do over the coming year. And they are expecting 2 rate cuts is what that showed. So they're expecting to cut a 0.25 point, probably in maybe June, and then maybe another one in September or something like that. So maybe even November. But the market like that. They also did a policy change that I haven't seen talked about nearly as much, but they're pulling back on what's called quantitative tightening, which is good for rates, is all anybody needs to know. It's good. That's a good thing for rates. And then let's see. The main thing that Jerome Powell talked about, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, what he talked about after the policy announcement on Wednesday was there's just uncertainty, right, in the economy. And so they moved their expectations for inflation up a little bit, and they attributed that to tariffs. And then they dialed down their estimates for GDP growth, again, due to uncertainty. And so that's been the story lately, over the last 60 days or so, is the mortgage interest rates are dictated by the bond market, and the bond market is trying to make profitable trades based on what the inflation picture is going to look like 2, 5, 7, 10 years from now. And so that's very, very, very difficult to do with on again, off again, fluctuating amounts, of tariffs. And so, you know, I think when, you know, the further along we get, and if some tariffs remain in place or if it seems like they're going to remain in place relatively long term or permanently, or some get dropped and never revisited, just bringing a little bit more certainty back into that part of the conversation on its own could have a positive impact on rates just by removing that. And so that's a lot of the conversation is just uncertainty in the future, you know, near and medium term, especially around tariffs, inflation, and that's all kind of, you know, it's having an impact on consumer sentiment too. People are pulling back on spending because in expectations of inflation rising are increasing, which in itself can be inflationary. So hopefully we don't reignite inflation, but that remains to be seen.
Wow. Well, you know, I heard that they did kind of like what is like Zillow think, NAR think, and like CoreLogic think about what's going to happen in the coming year. And they were thinking between all three of them is kind of flat this year, just because the rates aren't going to drop significantly, and people are kind of like, you know, just hanging out. And so, like we were talking about this group of, you know, what we're just hearing that the median price, you know, like, you know, what Lance said, it's just kind of like what it's up 1%. So, you know, I guess, you know, the good news is it's not going crazy up 8, 12, 13% a month, you know, but on the other side is that it just seems like it's kind of like we're in the doldrums of like, you know, thinking about what 2025 is going to look like. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it well.
So I was actually hoping that you were going to say, oh, but you know what? Things might get better this summer. Everybody get their little pants and ready to go.
Well, here's the thing. For like, you've heard me say this before, but like bad news for the economy tends to be good news for interest rates. So like we could have a big job loss recession.
Yeah.
And rates would improve. I'm not going to like root for that, but
no.
Yeah, but then the downfall is anybody that could afford a interest rate can't afford it anymore. So it's kind of a mixed bag on that one when you have something like that happen.
Well, a lot of those people, and maybe we could get into this, but like, I don't know, a lot of people who, like a lot of my condo business right now are retired baby boomers. Mm-hmm. Like they have retirement income, they have piles of cash, and they go, stock market feels a little uncertain. Why don't we buy it surf and racket? Or why don't we buy it, you know, let's park our money in some good old fashioned West Hawaii real estate.
Yeah. So you are seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Are you seeing more oceanfront? Like sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to
go ahead.
Are you seeing like, I don't see so much of the workforce housing moving as much as I do the oceanfront specialty units that you can't find in other places. Is that what you're seeing that you're in?
Yep. Short-term vacation rental, nice ones. That's what I'm seeing. And it's people that are, you know, either retired or in a phase of life where they, you know, could maybe pay cash for it, but don't care to, and feel like it's still maybe the, you know, the right thing to do.
I have one of those that's looking for one right now. And what's interesting is that he thought he'll bid a little low to see what's out there, but he is finding that market is a stiff competition, right? And he's been bid out at least 2 times on this one. So it just shows you, yeah, they're exactly what you're talking about.
People who saved well and have a vision, who are in their late 60s and early 70s. and so it does seem like it's, you know, we were talking about the fact that we've been doing this for, I don't know, 6 years. And I used to get phone calls from people saying, hey, I'm bringing my family over. I haven't gotten those phone calls like in months. Like it's just, it's kind of like that part of the market seems to just be stuck. And so that's why it's interesting with Lihilani is that was workforce housing, and that those condos, they're sitting, but they're not dying on the vine. So somebody is buying those condos, and I don't know if that's, you know, because they're kind of not the best investment condos because you can't have an STVR experience in there. But Travis, have you seen anybody that wants to move here that is like, under the age of 50? No.
I haven't had a client like that in decades, but that's fair. So,
Well,
I mean, the COVID family.
He's 36 and he wants to come here with his wife, and he does not plan on having children. And he's looking at the Waikoloa Village area. And I actually said I was going to hook him up with Jana to see if Jana knew anybody around the age of 40 that maybe he could talk to about what it's like to live on West Hawaii, where the average age seems to consistently keep going up, and that would he be lonely in that age group, because it just seems like a lot of older people are buying houses here. So it looks like and then maybe with Amber knowing what's going on in East Hawaii, maybe that's where the young people are finding a place to live because of affordability. But Amber, are you seeing people calling you saying, I want to buy a house and I'm in my late 30s, early 40s?
I mean, there are some, but it is hard. There's probably, it's definitely an easier thing in East Hawaii. I do know some homeowners in their late 30s in Waikoloa Village, and they do want to move. But I don't know if it's the age thing so much, as they are worried about a lot of the wildfire stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Well, let me talk about that because I'm going to do just so you guys know, who's watching, if you're thinking about Waikoloa Village, and also it looks like the prices are going down a little bit, because Waikoloa Village used to be like, if you can't afford Kona, then you can go to Waikoloa Village, and then they all started just like rising. But we are going to do a kind of like a one-on-one with Jana and talk about some of the amenities that have come into the Waikoloa Village area. And like you said, some new housing developments, and also some of the problems that they have. I mean, you have to be fair on both sides of the experience. So if you guys want to see something like that, hopefully we'll do that in the next 1 or 2 months. But let's talk about what we're seeing in trends as we're talking about this. So this is where Lance is going to give us his race car experience. So Lance, is it a buyer's market?
All right, so we're going to answer this in a couple of different scenarios. So, I've said this prior, because it feels like it, and I'm going to give you some exact numbers. And I think the biggest thing is it's just like we're in a 55-mile-an-hour speed zone, and we've been doing 95 for the last 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden your Waze app warned you that there's police ahead or something like that, right? And so you slow down to the speed limit, or it's 60 miles an hour, 65, somewhere in there, and that's what we're doing now. We've slowed down to 60 miles an hour, maybe even we're at 55 miles an hour. So it is not a buyer's market, but it's no longer that seller's market. So for people that haven't been in this, prior to COVID, and I know we all have been here, but for people that on the outside, they're looking in, they think that it's a buyer's market because it's finally becoming a little bit more fair. And to put some exact numbers to it, I actually got the absorption rate. I went back to I got 3 different timelines. So as of today, we are in a absorption rate. Remember, again, 15%, below 15 is a buyer's market. Above 20 is a seller's market. So we're going through the school zone, and the school speed limit is 18 miles an hour, right? If we're going below 15, people are going to start honking at us, and if we're going over 20, we're going to get a ticket in that school zone, right?
That's a good one.
So we're doing 18 today, right? So we're doing good. We're going right through the school zone. Everybody's safe, fair, happy, and things are good. If I jump back to 2022, we were going 100 miles an hour, 100.14 miles an hour through that school zone of 18 miles an hour. Okay, so everybody was headed on their way to jail. Everybody got ran over on the way there. It was terrible. It was not a good market for anybody except for that seller that was doing 100 miles an hour in that 18 mile an hour zone. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump back to 2018. That's kind of a year that was prior to the craziness. And we are looking, people were going through that school zone at 16 and a half miles an hour. Okay. So they were right there at almost the speed limit, which makes it fair, and things were good. So it's kind of a little bit just of historical numbers on it. All we are is we're back to where we are in a good balanced market. People,
Question for you, Lance.
huh?
Oh, sorry. Question for you. So as we're slowing down here, does it look like we're going to continue to slow down? I mean, is that I know you can't. I mean, can you kind of see the trend? Are we going to go more that way than you're thinking, or is it just?
So if I'm looking at, great question, because I'm looking at numbers, and so if I look at our sales numbers, condo numbers are up 50% of the numbers sold. So that's not, I was around in 2009 when we went down to 7 homes sold in all of Kona in January 2009. So we aren't there. We're not none of that, So we're doing. So I don't see any big. We could drop down to 14 miles an hour or 13 miles an hour, somewhere in there. But right now we're doing the speed limit. We're looking good. So I don't see any big red flags. But yeah, because it's been trending down, Eric, it could, people could be panicking and slowing down a little bit more too.
But not a sharp drop off.
No, we haven't seen a sharp drop off. No, it's just been a continuous slowing down to the speed limit again.
Yeah. But you know what though, and then I get the opinion of everybody else in here too, is that I call it smelling blood in the water. That I've got buyers who are watching, thinking that it's going to continue to go down, and they want to keep bidding lower and lower. And then when they see that somebody did a $30,000 or $40,000 price drop, they go, well, maybe they can do an extra 10,000 on top of that. And so it feels like buyers are saying this might be a good time, but maybe it'll get worse. I'll hang. So are you guys getting any of that from buyers? Let
me comment on that really quick, because as of today, I love Amber's comment. It's on what's on sale. We're at a 94% final list price to sold, and that's an average here in Kona. So we're at 94%. Where do you think we were at in 2022 when we were doing 100 miles an hour through that school zone?
104.
We were at 96%.
Oh,
really?
Not even that much.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Where do you think we were in 2018 when we were doing 16 miles an hour?
97.
90, huh?
Wait, like 97?
92.7.
Oh.
So I'm going to call it 93%.
Oh, that's kind of low.
So that's not changing that much.
Yeah, the number, it's not a huge
82 or whatever.
Right. So when you got the person that comes in and they're talking to somebody knowledgeable, like one of us in the group here, that says, actually the price that's listed is not that far off, and they want to write it at 50% off, that's when we kind of say, we have that right to no shirt, no shoes, no service, right? It's kind of like it's you got to spend your time wisely, because you're making your money with it, but you have to do what your clients want, but that may be a client that you might not want for a long time. So and it's good to educate them and show them these numbers, I think, is the biggest thing, so that they understand. Because if they don't understand, if they're watching the national news or listening to we call it cocktail talk, right? They're at a party and somebody said, oh my God, it's just crashing, and nobody has actually educated them on the reality. I think that's where the professionals come in.
Yeah. But like, let's say what Janice was saying, that somebody got a 50% off deal on $1 million condo in Waikoloa, right?
But that was a very weird anomaly.
Can I add to that? A lot of people are shooting for that scenario.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get. You know what I mean? It doesn't just show up. I mean, most people are not going to say, well, here, I'm going to give you my condo for a super cheap price. So there was quite a lot of buyers that are like, we're going to find that. But I haven't seen too many that hit that jackpot.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Jen, on that price point of that person that got that house? Was it $500,000 overpriced, or was it just somebody was I don't want to use the word desperate, but somebody needed to sell, and so they
I don't think it was overpriced. I think it must have been a very, very motivated buyer. I don't know any of the specific circumstances, but it seems to me like it was a pretty fair price, and so I was kind of shocked when I saw what that sell price was. Frankly.
Could we also say this though? A lot of times it might be an estate sale, right? That they just want to dump it to get rid of it. I mean, that it wasn't their money to begin with, so they really don't care what it is, but they need to sell it fast. And these people came up and says, I'll give it to you, tomorrow, let's go. And they said, all right, whatever, it's better than waiting.
Yes. And we don't know what happened in the inspection report, if they found some kind of horribleness or whatever.
Yeah.
So don't know all the details.
Yeah.
But But I
It
do
was-
think that it's a more seller friendly environment right now, and I don't see prices going down. I see more balance, and there's opportunities for both buyers and sellers right now. And I think, you're always going to have some kind of weird anomaly, something that's overpriced and sells real fast or whatever. I mean, those are not your typical thing, but right now I think you have a lot of diverse options on the Big Island. We have more inventory than we've had, and it just feels a lot more balanced. And I think the statistics back that up. It is more balanced now.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you guys too, Eric and I had a woman that and it hasn't happened in West Hawaii since we got into real estate. She had like 8 or 9 things in her price range for us to look at with her. So we were like watching homes after homes. I mean, when we did this with Amber one time, she says, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go show 8, 9 homes." We laughed and say, "Oh, that doesn't happen in Kona. You get 3 and you get to pick one." But there definitely gives opportunities for more people to see more inventory. And now they said, "You know what? We're gonna wait until we fly in and we'll look at them in person." And so I have 4 other agents going, "So what's happening? What's happening? What's happening?" Because they're not getting offers either. And so we're going to get a chance to actually have the person be able to come in, leisurely take a look around, make a decision, which is a balanced market. That way buyers do get a chance to say, "You know what, I get to kind of take a little time here to pick what I want. It's something I really want." I think in 2021, that was when it was really bad, where people had to throw money at whatever they can get their hands on. And we were at a listing where this guy had just sold us. It's on the market now. He was one of those guys. He had 3 things to choose from. He threw a bunch of money at it, and it wasn't his favorite thing to do. And now he's realizing, this isn't my house. I don't want to be here. So he bought another house. Now he's selling this one, and he stayed in the market. He just got the house he really would have had if he hadn't been competing so hard in 2021. So
Totally. Yeah. I see that. And it is good. It's always, I think I had a lot of people come up to me thinking that, "Oh, we loved this market back then. It was great. You guys, you got it made. You're making tons of money." And no, that was not. I didn't know a single realtor that actually enjoyed that market. When you have no advantage, no pull, it's very hard when you're trying to protect your client.
Yeah. And just keep writing offer after offer. Yeah. So, okay. And now it's okay. So in that, we were hoping that obviously things calm down in general across the country. So people feel comfortable about where the economy is going, so that they actually feel comfortable buying a house, and that, Travis can write some mortgages up for people. But in general, I know that, Jana, you're kind of obviously in that market where you're either, dealing with Waikoloa Village and people also in the high end. Are you getting phone calls? Are people saying, "I'm waiting 6 months. I'll check you out this summer"? I mean, where do you see those phone calls?
Well, what I'm hearing from the investors is the market uncertainty. I think when markets dip, that investors will take a pause. Or I'm hearing that, okay, well, if the markets are unstable, then we'll put our cash into real estate. So there's kind of 2 different ways for them to look at it. But I think if the stock market did surge, we would have a lot more investors jumping back in the higher end markets. That's kind of what I'm seeing, which it's totally different situation when you're in Waikoloa Village, because this is where people live. It's not so much the short-term vacation rental properties, which I think have a different dynamic as far as being tied to some of the volatility that's happening right now with the GDP and the stock market, and that kind of volatility that we're seeing has more of an effect, I think, on the investors where I am.
And Lance, are you getting phone calls?
Just my people that I've been working with for a long time. I'm not getting a lot of fresh phone calls, no.
Okay. Okay. Well, now we know. So, anything else that anyone wants to talk about? An anomaly, some weird outliers, some cool stuff? I've got two events I'm going to tell you guys about. If you are watching this and you are local and you care about the parking issue, we are holding an event on April 12th at Holly Holiday. It's Malama Kailua Kona, and we have our councilwoman Rebecca Villegas coming and talking about a proposed ordinance to at least maybe get the parking guys to list the prices of the parking lots and the towing rules and doing some things to help the public. And then we also have Mayor Kimo talking about updates in Kona, and also he's going to be talking about a idea of making LE one way through downtown to create free parking on the other side of the street. So if you're watching this and you have an opinion, please come down and give it. He will be handing the microphone to people to see what the general consensus of that idea is. So if you have an opinion, come. And then also on April 15th, he's holding an open a town hall meeting, and that's going to be from 5:30 until 7 o'clock, and it's going to be at the Makeo Pavilion, and he's going to basically be talking about all things Kona and how we, what he has planned and what's happening, and people can get input about how they want to see Kona create a better place to live. And I think he's doing the same town hall experience up in Waikoloa and in East Hawaii. And I don't know if you guys know those dates. I don't want to put you on the spot, but he's doing around the island. So it's a great opportunity for people to actually have their voices be heard. And, we talk about the fact that, Lance is on the Hawaii State Association of Realtors, and he's working on the state level. Lance, I know that you've been talking about the landlord tenant experience in the state level. Can you give us just a real quick how that affecting people here on this island?
Great news for everybody. I think this can't go wrong. We went and we were trying to do a resolution to just have a work group to kind of start talking to people to see what's wrong with the landlord tenant code. And it wasn't even the code. It's like, what are the problems that landlord and tenants are having, right? And we went to all our legislators and we talked to them about bringing in not just professionals like us, but bringing in mom and pop, because almost half the homes here are rented by mom and pops, or a place under their house or in their backyard or something like that, right? So we want to bring them in because they're not familiar with the laws. We want to bring tenants in because a lot of tenants aren't stable with housing, so they're afraid to report something or do something about it. So we went to these legislators with that, just asking for a work group, and they fell in love with the idea. And now it's a full blown, we want to do a study on the landlord tenant code itself. And so we've got 3 vessels that are going through right now. We actually, one of them created a bill out of the work group that we wanted. So we have a bill and 2 different resolutions working through legislation right now to see how it's going. So I think that'll be a big thing. Our landlord tenant code was created in 1972. A few things have changed since then. And we're trying to just consolidate it. Hopefully that opens up housing for local people, because if people want to rent, then, nobody wants to rent. I mean, let's face it. We've all got clients that will say, I don't want to get into long-term rental. That's why they all want short-term rentals. Yeah. And hopefully this will be part of the solution to the problem.
There you go. And that way, when people are thinking about how they can buy a house and rent as a way to mitigate the cost of the mortgage, then that way they feel more secure about ramifications if you put someone into your house and getting them out without costing $50,000 for eviction proceedings, right?
Yeah, and 6 months, right? I mean, who can carry that note or that mortgage for 6 months? So that's what we're that's what we're working on. So I hope we get far with it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when Lance says we're realtors, we sell, buy, and help you buy, sell, and invest. We also help with private property rights. And so having the realtors on the front line helping, help homeowners, and help us, because Eric and I have a rental, too. And I hear from my friends all the time, I don't want to be a landlord. It's too much risk. So the work that you're doing, thank you. We appreciate that.
Well, and it's the first thing I do. Like when I go and I've helped our son, my wife and I are both realtors, and we've helped our son buy in another state, and we've helped friends and clients. First thing I do is go look at the board of directors, right? And look at who's actually involved and who's donating time, because several of you guys do work in committees and things like that. You're donating that time to make the industry better. So that's the first thing I look for, is who's active and still knows what they're doing with real estate, right? And who's giving back to the community. And that's a big thing when I look outside. So I hope our buyers are doing the same thing when they look at us.
Yeah, because Eric sits on the board of realtors, and Travis.
You do committees. Travis is in committees.
In fact, Travis's company is sponsoring the Kailua event, the Malama Kailua Kona event, and so is 365 Group and the 365 Community Fund, so that we can hopefully help our community. In fact, you guys, I have a condo for sale, and this gives you an opportunity, you guys, if you have things for sale. It is right downtown in Waikoloa Village, and it's $475, and you can walk downtown. And one of the things that we're saying about the cool thing about this condo is that you don't have to park. You park once at the the condo complex, and then you wander around downtown, and that's a benefit. So I would like to say,
huge. Yeah.
a year from now, though, that it doesn't have to be such a huge benefit it is now, because it's a parking problem, but it's a thing. And so, just getting involved and trying to make this place a better place to live for all of us, I think, is a good thing. And also what we do here with you guys, that, we're trying to educate the public, people on the island, off the island, about what's happening with the housing crisis and with mortgage rates. So I am proud that, all of us are really helping the home buying and selling public. So use us. And all their information on how to get a hold of all these wonderful humans is going to be in the description below. And please reach out if you need a mortgage, or if you want to work with any of these group of wonderful people. And then also we will be back in April, and we will be doing the update. So you guys all know the 17th of April. So if you guys want to be part of this and you want to jump in, we also open up the Zoom for members of the public to ask questions directly. So that's always something that we can offer to you. And is there anything else, anyone? That's it. Okay. Thank you all. And we'll see you, and happy spring break and Easter. Aloha.